Today I'd like to do a first little quick look at the new SOLOMON Pho nFreq microphone. This is a dynamic cardioid. You can see it right here. Comes in this little metal tin, and at the time I'm recording this, it's about 130 US dollars. So not the super cheap mic, but not expensive either. And the thing about this microphone is it is a deliberately lo-fi microphone meant to mimic the response of old school telephone handsets. So for those of you that are older, you might remember the big chunky heavy handset, and you'll note that even looking at the Pho nFreq itself, the front is sort of molded after that. You could theoretically imitate the sound that this generates with an EQ. You know, this is 200 megahertz to about 4 kilohertz is its response range. You know, you could mimic that with an EQ. Some of the shaping internally might be harder to do fake. This is a new mic. They market this as, you know, using it for like a vocal effect. Also could be used on things like drums or other instruments. I don't have drums. I can't really demonstrate that for you, but we can certainly look at the voice side of it. Now, one thing you'll notice is I've got it running into an Focusrite ISA One as the preamp. The ISA One has the ADN2 digital card in it, which provides a Dante output. And so that's how I'm getting it into the rest of the system. So the the A to D is occurring in the Focusrite, and you've got the Focusrite ISA old school transformer, which I figured would be a nice match for a old school microphone or telephone sounding microphone. A couple of things up front. One, it does need a lot of juice. As you can see, the ISA is set to 30 on the gain, as well as it has the 30 boost. So that's total of 60 dB of gain to drive it. And honestly, could turn the trim up and to at least around 10 for a total of 70 dB. But that ends up generating some self noise from the ISA one itself. So I've got the trim all the way down at 0. I am going to switch over to that mic now. Okay, so now you are hearing me on the Pho nFreq. And one of the things, let me bring up the top view spectrogram. Well, the main mic is muted, but it is getting some stuff about 4K. Their specs say 4K. You can definitely see there's not a lot down below 200 though. As I said, it needs a lot of juice. It's not super loud right now. The other thing is I've noticed that you do need to pretty well close mic it, which is also in line with whether the old school telephone mics worked, right? So if I get minus 50, maybe 12, 15 inches away. And if I get way up close, now you can see it's, you know, minus 25-ish, etc. Another thing I've noticed is that it is really sensitive to plosives. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. So in using it for voice, you probably want to do it more as a, you know, talk past it so that you're not blowing straight into the capsule. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. The other thing I've noticed is that it's actually got really good rejection on anything but the front. It is a cardioid mic, right? So if I turn it on the side, you can drop down quite a bit. Put from behind and drop down a third. do the other side and kind of drop down. And then here I am back talking straight into it, and it goes up, right? So it is nice. You could use this on a stage or something. It would help reject side noise and whatnot, especially since it gets really quiet away. So it is kind of a fun mic. I expect to be playing with this for a bit. Now, the other thing, just quick, right now, what you've been hearing is this mic running through a CEDAR DNS dialogue noise suppression system, because this room, if you've watched any of my other videos, has an absolute ton of background noise because of the server rack behind me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this over to going direct from the ISA. And so now you can hear the background hiss that it's translating this room into. I'm going to stop speaking for a moment. And so on the spectrograph, you can see that it falls down to around negative 60 dB for the peaks, and you've definitely got some hiss. And I would actually argue that the hiss, the nature of the hiss is similar to the nature of the hiss you would have heard on one of those old-timey telephones, if you were old enough to remember one of them. But if we switch it back over to the CEDAR, it cleans up really well, which maybe takes a little bit of the old school charm away, but makes the voice much, much cleaner. And it doesn't really, I don't know, maybe the CEDAR is artificially introducing some of that higher than 4K stuff. Let's put it back again real quick. Test, test. So there's still a little bit coming in over the 4K, but not a lot. Test, test. Check, check, 1, 2. Back on the CEDAR, check, check, 1, 2. You get a little bit more above the 10K, so maybe the 4K, so maybe the CEDAR is adding a little bit back as part of its algorithm, but you definitely can see there's pretty much nothing below 200. At any rate, I hope this was helpful. It's not a terribly expensive mic. I personally think if you have any kind of use for this kind of vocal effect, go out and get one. I'm sure other people will do some videos talking about using it for drums and other instruments. But all for now. Thanks. Cheers.